Hey everybody, this is Derek Bros with Activist Post. Want to go over this article real quick here. Henry Kissinger partners with HSBC International Bank, just published a couple days ago. So basically the news here is Henry Kissinger, who I doubt I have to introduce any of you to, and the infamous international bank HSBC, which is actually Europe's largest bank, are apparently partnering together to finalize the location of HSBC's new headquarters this coming year. Sky News reports that board members of HSBC have met with former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger to discuss the geopolitical implications of the ongoing review of the bank's domicile. Sky News writes, sources said that Mr. Kissinger, who has previously had a role with JP Morgan, as well as his own consulting firm, had been asked to provide advice on a number of options being considered by HSBC directors. And basically, since last year in April, HSBC has been trying to find a new home outside of London. They've looked to the United States, Canada, China, and like most banks, they are attempting to escape taxes, regulations, and they are still facing penalties from authorities in a number of different countries for their manipulation of foreign exchange markets. Now, the reason I chose to write an article about this, because who really cares what Henry Kissinger's up to and HSBC? The reason I chose to write about this, though, is because it's essentially a partnership made in hell. Two different entities that are responsible for a number of different types of destruction. And so the article covers that Henry Kissinger, a legacy of destruction. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but I definitely hope you will read this, look into Operation Condor, do your research, and see how Kissinger was involved in this campaign of disappearance of activists and citizens in Chile, Argentina, all across South America, and helping establish dictatorships in South America, and assassination, intelligence operations, a number of different things that Kissinger had a hand in, and has actually been found, at least suspicion of guilt, where it's been issued for him in different countries in Europe, and he's evaded those arrests so far, and evaded even being questioned. And I give a couple more examples, and there's a short report you can find from me that I did a couple years ago. And I've confronted Henry Kissinger in the past. When he came to Houston, Luke Rukowski has confronted him several times. I think people in positions of power, such as Kissinger, need to be shown that they cannot travel freely anymore, and that the people are waking up and they're paying attention to what they're doing. So they understand that and might actually start to question their actions. Now, when it comes to HSBC, I wrote an article in 2013 for Activist Post that you can click there if you want to read that for more in-depth look at HSBC. But briefly, we've got money laundering and destruction of native lands, indigenous lands. In the summer of 2012, HSBC was exposed for laundering money for drug cartels, Iran, and moving money to an al-Qaeda-linked Saudi bank, and many other things that you can continue to read here. Basically, the typical bank crimes, stealing money from the people. But in addition to that, the Rainforest Action Network has detailed how an HSBC financed company is actually forcing the development of oil palms on the lands of indigenous communities in Papua New Guinea. So this company, KLLK, owned by HSBC, has recently claimed ownership of 3 land development licenses within traditional indigenous lands. And this is just another example of not only the destructive palm oil industry, but how HSBC doesn't give a crap, and that people like Kissinger and HSBC partner together are individually responsible for atrocities around the world that you can read about here. So together, it definitely doesn't signal anything positive for free people of this planet. And it's up to us as the free minds and hearts to continue to confront these people who believe they are authorities, and to remove ourselves. Don't do business with these banks, and let Kissinger and everyone like him know that we're awake, we're paying attention, and we're not going to take it anymore. Peace.